Chapter 41. You are behaving like a furious, cute little wildcat. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 41. You are behaving like a furious, cute little wildcat. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. When Shinya bid Du Roa farewell at 4:30 p.m. Du Roa felt weird about her leaving 30 minutes earlier. Usually, when Shinya would stay till 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Du Roa casually asked if everything was alright, but did not ask further when Shinya replied and assured her that there wasn't any problem. The real reason for Shinya leaving the Du mansion earlier was because of Cen. He told her that morning he would come to fetch her. In her previous life, she was deeply hurt by that man. But in this life, she did not wish to be embroiled in sexual relations with him. However, she could not bring herself to reject Cen and knew that he was someone who would not take no for an answer. Therefore, avoiding him was the only thing she could do for now. When Shinya left the Du mansion and walked along the little stone path leading to the main road, she saw a black car, the Lucifer, stopped by the roadside. Cen was standing beside the car, leaning on the door. His vision was locked on her as if he could see through her soul. When Shinya frowned, she felt uncomfortable with him staring at her. It made her feel she had nowhere to hide. "Didn't you say you would pick me up at 5 o'clock? Why are you so early?" Cen had guessed her intention of avoiding him. He came earlier on purpose so that he would not miss her. "I have nothing on, so I came early. I didn't expect your class to end before 5 o'clock. I was lucky to arrive before you left." When Shinya felt a sense of guilt. "Didn't you say you would send me back? Let's get moving. Roa gave me a few recipes for medicinal cuisines that are good for Grampy. I need to return earlier to prepare and cook them for him." She used cooking for Grampy as an excuse to leave early. Her eagerness to explain made it even more obvious to him that she was trying to avoid him. Cen smiled and replied, "Even if you leave at 5 o'clock, it won't make any difference. You don't need to be impatient. There's a lot of time." When Shinya was embarrassed for her intentions being exposed. "Are you going to drive? Otherwise, I will just hail a taxi," she said angrily while walking to the other side of the car and opening the door. "You are behaving like a furious, cute little wildcat." Cen looked at her and said in a flirtatious tone. He then started the engine. As soon as the car reached the Mo's bungalow, when Shinya got out of the car panickily and dashed into the house, she bumped into Mother He. "Ayo. My young mistress, why are you in such a hurry?" Mother He held her carefully while trying to balance herself. She was shocked by Mrs. Wen's recklessness. When Shinya was extremely apologetic. "I'm sorry for bumping into you, Mother He. What happened, my dear? You were in such a rush as if you were on fire. Luckily you bumped into me and not somewhere else. Otherwise, it would be disastrous." Mother He said. "I got a few recipes for medicinal cuisines from Roa. I was in a rush to prepare the ingredients so that I can cook for Grampy," replied Shinya with a slight sense of guilt. Cen walked into the house calmly. He was holding a bag in his hand. "You are in a rush to make medicine for Grampy, but you've left the raw medicinal ingredients you took from old Du's place in my car." When Shinya was furious that her excuses were being exposed. Mother He looked at her from head to toe. She had never seen the rational young mistress behaving like this. She was shocked to see her so angry. "Young mistress, why is your face red?" Cen peeped at Shinya from the corner of his eye. Shinya gave a fierce stare at Mother He and stamped her feet. "Mother He, you are irritating." She turned around and left immediately. Mother He did not understand what had happened. She was still confused and looked at Cen. "Young Master C, what happened to young mistress? Her face was red. Is she unwell?" Yen replied with a smile, nothing, she was just being shy. Shy? Why was young mistress shy? Mother, he saw a flirtatious smile on Yen's face and suddenly realized what had happened. She bursted into laughter and said, yes, young mistress was just being shy. When Shinya came into the kitchen, she finally calmed down and sighed over her childish behavior earlier. She irked at the thought of the unforgettable love from her previous life. It was not how deep she loved that made it unforgettable, but how it was not worth her love. Mother Jiang walked into the kitchen and saw young mistress standing there in a daze. Mother Jiang thought she did not have any culinary skills. Young mistress, I have prepared and cleaned the raw cooking ingredients as you've requested. Are you sure you want to do it yourself? Do you need my help? When Shinya took a deep breath and quickly recovered from her thoughts. Thank you for your offer, Mother Jiang. I'll do it myself. After leading a wandering life for 15 years, how could she not acquire any culinary skills? Moreover, after knowing him, she took up exquisite cuisine courses in order to please him. Her culinary skills were comparable to a chef from any 5-star restaurant. Alright, I'll be right here, young mistress. Please let me know if you need any help, said Mother Jiang while looking at her delicate hands. It did not seem she was someone who worked in the kitchen a lot. Mother Jiang stayed in the kitchen, suspicious. In case young mistress hurt herself or needed any help, she would be there for her. From heating the oil, adding ingredients, frying and brewing a pot of soup, young mistress was able to perform all these tasks with ease. Mother Jiang was surprised to see that. Then she remembered young mistress had led a wandering life for 15 years and must have gone through many sufferings. She felt sorry for her. When Shinya made a dish of white eel cooked with ginseng and wolfberries. It could help in detoxification and strengthening of the heart and was very suitable for Grampy's condition. This was quite different from what was found on the internet. It was dinner time at 6 o'clock. Old Master Mo could detect a smell of strong Chinese medicine from the dish of white eel on the dinner table. He raised his eyebrow, asking, is this a medicinal cuisine? Mother Jiang replied, yes. This is white eel, cooked with ginseng and wolfberries. It can help to detoxify and strengthen one's heart. Young mistress got the recipe from Mrs. Roa and specially cooked this dish for you. I have never expected young mistress to have such good culinary skills. When Shinya started scooping some soup into Grampy's bowl. Grampy, please try some and see how it tastes. Old Master Mo was feeling surprised and happy that his granddaughter had cooked for him. Good, good, good. That's very nice of you to cook for Grampy. Mother, he laughed and said, nowadays there isn't many girls who can cook. Young mistress is a virtuous girl and a filial granddaughter. This made Old Master Mo extremely satisfied. He took a sip of the soup. It had a strong taste of Chinese medicine. The texture of the white eel was nice and fresh. It tasted blend with the Chinese medicinal ingredients. Very nice, I like it. When Shinya was glad and smiled. Grampy, please eat more if you like it. I specially cooked this for you. I shall be in charge of arranging your diet from now on. You must take note and start having a healthy diet to strengthen your health, she said. Old Master Mo was happy to have such a filial granddaughter. Naturally, he would agree to listen to her. Yes, okay. You'll be in charge. Yen bowed his head while secretly peeping at her. She was busy filling Grampy's bowl with food. He remained silent and smiled from deep within. He had a sense of satisfaction and started to imagine her in an apron, cooking meals for him in the kitchen. He was elated by this thought. Chapter 42. You are not even worthy to be her sidekick. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 42. You are not even worthy to be her sidekick. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. After Grampy returned, when Shinya's learning schedules were even more packed than before. She was now learning at a professional and practical level, as compared to the basic entry level she started with some time ago. After dinner, she was reading a book titled Essays from the Pool of Dreams. There were 17 main categories in the Pool of Dreams, including geographic, history, chess and music, business, personal development, and more. This was one of her favorite books. Her phone started ringing. Wen Xinya took a look and saw that it was a call from Su Jinyu. She answered without hesitation. "Hello, second young master Su. Are you looking for me?" There was total silence on the other end of the line. Wen Xinya's heart sank. She was worried if something had happened. "Second young master Su, please say something." "Wen Xinya, today." Su Jinyu stammered. Wen Xinya heaved a sigh of relief after hearing his voice. "What's that about? If you have something to tell me, say it. Don't stammer like a little young lady," she said furiously. Su Jinyu was initially hesitant to make this call. When he heard Wen Xinya calling him names, he was suddenly filled with courage. "Who is behaving like a little young lady? I am a real man. A real man." Wen Xinya was tickled by his tone of voice as he tried to act manly. "You are too short to be a real man. Any real man who is as small-sized as you wouldn't want to call himself a real man." Su Jinyu could not stand being ridiculed by her. He unconsciously looked downwards at his chest that had no muscles. "Though I don't have six-pack abdominal muscles, I have something in between my legs which you don't. That makes me a real man." When Xinya shouted into the phone angrily, "Su Jinyu, you bastard. Stop trying to be a gangster." Su Jinyu was shocked by her screaming. There was a do tone from the phone. She had hung up on him. He suddenly realized he did not have the chance to tell her about the reason he was calling, and immediately dialed her again. After a few rings, the line was cut off again. He did not give up. Even after a long ring, still, no one answered the call. He continued trying. After 5 consecutive tries, his call was finally answered. When Xinya told him angrily, "Xu.er, you better be calling me for something important." "What? What are you doing?" Su Jinyu asked in a stammering voice. When Xinya got furious again at his question. "Xu.er, do you think everyone is as free as you? Why don't you spend more time studying instead of only caring about having fun all day? Whenever you get into trouble, your family will stand up for you. Or when you run out of pocket money, all you need to do is to ask them for more. I am not as free as you and I do not have time to play with you." Obviously, Su Jinyu got distracted again from his intention of the call by her shouting. "I wanted to tell you, today's my birthday. I have booked a VIP room in the 9th heaven with my friends for a gathering. Since you are not free, then forget about it." Su Jinyu hung up. He was enraged by Wen Xinya's words. He got so angry that he slammed the phone on the ground and punched hard into the wall of the washroom. He thought he must be mad to be calling Wen Xinya. In her eyes, he was a wastrel from a wealthy family. He only cared about having fun and would not do anything seriously. "Xu.er, you have been inside the washroom for almost half an hour. Are you all right? Everyone is waiting for the birthday boy." As Han Mafeng opened the door of the washroom, he saw second young master Su leaning against the wall. He wondered what he was thinking about. "Oh, nothing. I'll go over now." Su Jinyu bent down to pick up his cell phone. He pressed a button to see if it was still working. Fortunately, the phone was built strong enough to withstand the fall. Otherwise, he would have to buy a new cell phone. Han Mafeng looked as he stared at his cell phone and blinked his eyes, then threw his cell phone on the floor again to vent his anger. Who was he angry at this time? What happened to your cell phone? Su Jinyu put the cell phone into his pocket with composure. "Nothing, I dropped it accidentally." Han Mafeng did not believe him. Su Jinyu seemed to have changed into a different person ever since he met him at the airport that day. He seldom hung out with his gang of wastrel friends anymore. The Su family was so happy that they prayed and made offerings to their ancestors every day. Han Mofeng thought he must have been in love with some girl whom he had never met before. But after observing for some time, he had never seen Su Jinyu behaving intimately with another girl, nor did he try to get close to any other girls. Both of them returned to the VIP room. Everyone in the room was chatting. We don't know what kind of person that young Mrs. Wan from the Wan family is. It's a pity for Xiaoruya. I have seen her previously around here. She is an elegant and pretty lady. More importantly, she is a kind-hearted person. I heard that young Mrs. Wan used to be a street gangster. She did not even complete her secondary school studies. When she returned to the Wan family, she continued behaving in an unrefined manner and is a complete shrew. She speaks with profanity and is always getting into fights. The Wan family had intended to send her abroad to prevent her from being a disgrace to the family. However, old Mr. Wan wasn't agreeable, so she ended up staying at her grandpa's place. I think the Wan family wouldn't want to acknowledge such a disgrace as their granddaughter. It's been 2 months already and they have yet to make any announcements to the public. That's for sure. It's just a case of a wild sparrow lucky enough to get into the phoenix's nest. She will never become a phoenix herself. What did you say? Repeat what you said if you dare. Su Jinyu dashed into the VIP room and grabbed the young lady who was talking earlier. He gave her a hard punch on the face. XU.ER, what are you doing? What did she do to offend you and why are you beating people up? Han Mofeng immediately went up and tried to stop the fight. These words, wild sparrow, conquered Su Jinyu's mind. He could not think rationally. He gave the young lady another hard kick. If Wen Xinya is a wild sparrow, what are you? You are not even worthy to be her sidekick. Han Mofeng finally understood that Wen Xinya was the reason for XU.ER being so angry. She was the young Mrs. Wen who had just returned to the Wen family. Weird. When did XU.ER meet Wen Xinya? Was Wen Xinya the girl XU.ER had been secretly in love with? Everyone else also tried to mitigate the situation. XU.ER, Ruoyin was not aware that young Mrs. Wen is your friend. She was just blabbering some nonsense. Please do not take it to heart. Today is your birthday and you should be happy. Let's not spoil the day over some trivial matters. Su Jinyu was a stubborn man. Though he was being held back, he raised his leg and gave another kick. Get lost, you witch. Stop spouting nonsense here. Jiang Ruoyin was brought up as a pampered young mistress. She had never been beaten nor humiliated. She covered her face in tears and ran out of the VIP room. The ambience in the VIP room became quieter after her departure. Su Jinyu was still unhappy over what happened. It wasn't the first time he heard someone bad-mouthing about Wen Xinya. He finally understood why she was always working hard to prove herself and preventing others from looking down on her. Now, he felt fortunate for having a happy and supportive family. And she, who was less fortunate, had to put in a lot more hard work to prove herself and fight for her own happiness. At this thought, Su Jinyu was no longer angry over Wen Xinya's words from their conversation earlier. Chapter 43. Why pretend to be a non-drinker? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 43. Why pretend to be a non-drinker? Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. After Su Jinyu hung up on her, Wen Xinya rushed over and checked the calendar. It was May 15th. Indeed, it was Su Jinyu's birthday. She quickly changed into a green enchanting dress that had pictures of white intertwined branches. She looked youthful and elegant in this dress. She randomly grabbed a pearl accessory and her sling bag. She was ready to go out. It's late and you are still going out. Old Master Mo was concerned. He was sitting on the sofa in the living watching television. He saw that she was all dressed up and even brought her sling bag along. Wen Xinya nodded. Today is my friend's birthday. He has a gathering at the 9th heaven and invited me along. Old Master Mo trusted her and was not worried that she would visit some sleazy places late at night. Let me ask Uncle Zhang to send you there. Thank you, Grampy. It was comfortable living at Grampy's place. The only problem was accessibility. Now that she was still underage, she could not apply for a driving license yet. Though she could take someone else's driving license to drive, she was aware of her unique identity. And since she had just returned to the Wen family, everyone was watching her closely. She was in the spotlight of the media's attention, the slightest mistake would easily be blown up by the media. 9th Heaven was a club for the upper-class society. The club would not allow anyone without any status to enter. There were even different gradings of statuses. 9th Heaven represented 9 grades. There were affluent figures from the business world, political officers, and some of the low-profile wealthiest men in the city. Uncle Zhang sent Wen Xinya to the 9th Heaven. It was a club for members only. Anyone without a member's card would not be allowed to enter unless he was accompanied by a member and entered as a guest. Wen Xinya gave Su Zhenyu a call and it was answered very quickly. I am at the entrance of 9th Heaven and I cannot enter without a member's card. Come and fetch me, said Wen Xinya. Su Zhenyu was taken aback, and it took him a few seconds to react. Wait there, I am coming out to get you. Then, he dashed out of the VIP room at the speed of the wind. Everyone in the VIP room was confused at Su Zhenyu's inconsistent behavior. What's wrong with XU.ER today? A while ago he was sitting at a corner drinking alcohol all by himself. It didn't look like his birthday at all. And now he disappeared again like a gust of wind. Mo Hanfeng made a guess. I think one of his friends has arrived. Within moments from the conversation, second young Master Su was leading an elegant and youthful young lady into the VIP room. The girl was wearing the latest dress from this season owned by Joe Ram's shop that belonged to the Wen Corporation. The dress was beautiful and enchanting. From the collar down there were pictures of white intertwined branches with blossomed flowers that extended all the way down. Second young Master Su looked happy. He held Wen Xinya's hand and introduced her. This is my friend, Wen Xinya. Everyone in the room froze in shock after this introduction. Just a short while ago, Su Zhenyu had just beaten another girl because of Wen Xinya. Now Wen Xinya unexpectedly appeared in front of them. What turned out to be even more shocking to them was that Wen Xinya actually looked very different from the rumors they heard previously. She did not look like someone who behaved in an unrefined manner and definitely did not look like a shrew. Wen Xinya smiled and greeted. Hello, everyone. Han Mofeng remained calm. He introduced himself. I am Han Mofeng, a good friend of Su. The Han family and the Su family had close relationships. Old Master Han and Old Master Su used to work in the same political committee. In her previous life, Han Mofeng detested Wen Xinya because of her relationship with Su Zhenyu. He even had numerous arguments with her. Because of Wen Xinya, the relationship between Su Zhenyu and Han Mofeng turned sour. When Su Zhenyu went to jail, Han Mofeng paid a last visit to Wen Xinya and gave her a slap on the face. She had never seen him after that. Nice to meet you. Wen Xinya greeted him. She did not hate Han Mofeng at all. She knew all he did was for Su Zhenyu's good. Even when their friendship turned sour, Han Mofeng did not give up on him. In fact, Wen Xinya admired Han Mofeng for being a loyal friend. After Han Mofeng started rolling the ball, everyone else introduced themselves as well. Wen Xinya soon remembered everybody in the VIP room and was also aware of some of their backgrounds. A few of them were Su Zhenyu's close friends who grew up together with him. Some were young masters and young mistresses from affluent families. Everybody in the room came from an affluent family. The happy look on Su Genyu's face was pretty obvious, and everyone could guess that something was going on between them. They started to be friendlier to Wen Xinya. Second young master Su held the microphone and started speaking. Xinya just returned to the Wen family. Please take care of her and give her your guidance. I, XU.ER, personally thank everyone for that. Everyone consented. Wen Xinya had a special identity. She did not have an opportunity to interact or associate with the upper-class society in the capital city. She was thankful to XU.ER for this opportunity. May I suggest that we punish the latecomer with 3 glasses of wine? She was late and made our second young master Su wait. He had to sit in a corner and drink by himself. Do you agree? Han Mofeng placed 3 glasses in a straight line and started pouring red wine into each of the glasses until they were filled to the brim. Hey, Han Mofeng, are you trying to make things difficult for Xinya? This is her first time joining our gathering. Moreover, she's just a girl. How could you give her such a harsh punishment? The girl who was sitting beside Wen Xinya stared at Han Mofeng in discontent. The girl who spoke up for Wen Xinya was Zhou Tianyu. During her introduction, Wen Xinya could see that she was a kind-hearted, beautiful and intelligent girl, with a strong sense of righteousness. She had a very good feeling about this girl. The Zhou family was into politics. However, Zhou Tianyu's grandpa was from a military background. Though not as influential as the Su family, Zhou Tianyu's grandpa also held a high rank in the military force. She lived with her grandpa from a very young age, thus she was also very close to Su Genyu as they grew up together. Zhou Tianyu focused on linguistic studies. When Su Genyu went to jail in her previous life, Zhou Tianyu was already a well-known diplomat officer. That's right. Xinya is a girl, how can you give her such a harsh punishment? Do you know how to behave like a gentleman? Second young master Su kicked Han Mofeng. Han Mofeng laughed. Unlike XU.ER, I don't know how to be a gentleman. He knows best. XU.ER, why don't you be her hero and drink up on her behalf? No way. If second young master Su drinks on Xinya's behalf, then it cannot be only 3 glasses of wine. He should drink at least 6 glasses of wine to make it a fair deal. Don't you agree? Yes. 6 glasses of wine. And the wine glasses should be filled by Xinya to show her sincerity. Red wine is good. White wine would be even better. Everyone in the VIP room was in discussion. It was a happy ambience. Wen Xinya was a good drinker. Just a few glasses of red wine would not knock her out easily. But when everyone was talking like that, it made her feel as if there was something going on between her and Su Genyu. Why pretend to be a non-drinker? You used to be a street gangster, right? I heard people saying street gangsters get into fights, smoke, and drink as well. How can drinking just a few glasses of wine be a difficult task for you? When everyone was talking happily, a sharp and irritating voice interrupted. Chapter 44. Those who are brought up in a sheltered environment behave differently. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 44. Those who are brought up in a sheltered environment behave differently. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. The entire VIP room went silent. Yu Qin, we're all having a great time. Why do you have to get nasty? Xinya wasn't pretending that she can't drink at all, said Zhou Tianyu. She then held Wen Xinya's hands and continued, that's the way Yu Qin usually speaks. Please don't take it to heart. Wen Xinya appreciated Zhou Tianyu's gesture to help. She nodded in compliance and did not utter a word. Jiang Yuqin could not take it lying down. She rebuked. Do you think the way I speak is nasty? I'm just telling the truth. It's true that she used to be a street gangster, isn't it? Su Jinyu gulped the remaining wine in his glass. Does it bother you whether Shinya can or cannot drink? I'm happy to drink on her behalf. What does it matter to you, bitch? He said furiously. Jiang Yuqian turned pale with anger. She pointed at Wen Shinya and bellowed, brother you, what do you mean? We've known each other for many years. How can you reprimand me over this wild sparrow? You. Who did you call a wild sparrow? A cold, piercing voice came through the crowd in the VIP room. Everyone turned to look at Wen Shinya, only to see the dimmed lights casting a shadow on her well-defined face, making it even more distinctive and sharper. A chill ran down Jiang Yuqian's spine. Don't be arrogant. Do you really think you're the real Mrs. Wen just because you returned to the Wen family? They probably don't want to acknowledge you as part of the family. Otherwise, they would have made an official announcement on this matter. Are you speaking on behalf of the Jiang family? Is that how the Jiang family taught you to speak? Wen Shinya stared at her coldly while fiddling with her cell phone with her hand. The atmosphere remained intense. Everyone who was streetwise would know what Wen Shinya meant by her words. It seemed like she was not an easy-going person after all. Jiang Yuqian, who did not understand the meaning behind her words, noticed there was a sudden change in everyone's expression. She had a bad premonition. What? What do you mean? She stuttered. Wen Shinya walked past Zhou Tianyu and leaned towards Jiang Yuqian. She spoke slowly, emphasizing every word. Nothing in particular. But I just wanted to remind you, there are some words that can be said and some are not meant to be spoken. It wouldn't be nice if your words became known to the public. That would have a negative impact on the Jiang family's reputation. Wouldn't you agree? At this moment Jiang Yuqian realized. Old Mr. Wen did spend some effort in finding her, and everyone knew he had acknowledged her as his granddaughter, though the Wen family did not make any official announcement about Wen Shinya's return, and that she was currently staying with her grandpa. If old Mr. Wen got to hear what Jiang Yuqian said, he would not let the matter rest. The Zhang family would get into the scene. No matter what happened after that, the Zhang family would then be subjected to the media and public's criticism for intervening in the Wen family's affair. It would not do them any good at all. To ease the tension in the room, Han Mofeng interrupted by saying, "Xu.er, you've only drunk 1 glass of wine. 5 more to go. Don't you ever think of backing out?" Zhou Tianyu added, "Han Mofeng, you must be mistaken. Xu.er is always ready to drink more on Shinya's behalf." After that, she slowly shifted her focus towards Jiang Yuqian. No big deal. It's just a few glasses of wine. Second young master Su picked up the glasses on the table and gulped the remaining 5 glasses one after another. Great. Han Mofeng applauded and cheered for him. Second young master Su, you have great determination and courage. Come on. You're the birthday boy, let me give you a toast. Drink up. Gu Junling, who was sitting beside Su Jinyu, held his wine glass to give him a toast. Guys, stop bullying Xu.er. Though he might be a little of a pushover, do give him some time to eat and drink, and let him catch his breath. Wen Shinya said with sarcasm. She put a piece of meat into Su's daughter's bowl and then did the same for the rest of them. Do have some food to go with the drinks. It's not good to drink alcohol with an empty stomach. Who did you call a pushover? Xu.er asked angrily. Wen Shinya filled his bowl with some fish soup. You're the second in line in your family, aren't you? Doesn't that make you a pushover? Second young master Su was speechless for a while. Then he hesitantly said, yes, I may be the number 2 in my family, but I'm no pushover. Everyone could see how angry Xu.er was at her words. And yet he did not realize Mrs. Wen was just kidding him. He was a pushover indeed. At this moment, Jiang Yuqian held her glass of wine towards Wen Shinya. Let me give you a toast. Wen Shinya ignored her on purpose. She turned over to talk to Zhou Tianyu. Jiang Yuqian was fuming, but she tried to act pitiful, which made it feel weird. I gave you a toast, but you ignored me. You are just being rude. When Xinya finally turned over and looked at her. Who do you think you are? Does it mean that I must accept your toast just because you wanted it? It doesn't make any sense, does it? With her cold voice and mocking expression, Wen Xinya's words caused Jiang Yuqian to lose control. She could not hold her pitiful look anymore. You're just afraid your past identity of a street gangster would be exposed. That's why you are pretending that you're not a drinker. Wen Xinya burst into laughter. How could someone like that be Su's daughter's friend? If anyone who knows how to drink is a street gangster, are you a street gangster too because you can drink? Jiang Yuqian's hand holding the glass trembled. You. When Xinya continued with a cold tone, you are indeed right that I used to be a street gangster. So. Her tone became vicious. You'd better not provoke me. Otherwise, I might accidentally exhibit some gangster acts on you. That wouldn't be nice. Jiang Yuqian was exasperated. But with Wen Xinya's vicious look, she dared not continue challenging her with words. Unable to withstand all the criticisms, Jiang Yuqian stormed out of the VIP room in tears. She's finally gone. We can enjoy ourselves now. Zhou Tianyu remarked. Su Zhenyu muttered. She's just being crazy. Xinya did not offend her and yet she's always picking on Xinya. The men in the room started drinking again. Zhou Tianyu leaned towards Wen Xinya and asked, do you know the Zhang family? The Zhang family. Wen Xinya shook her head. The Zhang family was also a military family, but they have undergone some changes in recent years. Jiang Yuqian's father, Jiang Wenjie, married into the Zhang family and leveraged the family's military background to build his career. She is Jiang Wenjie's illegitimate daughter and was brought into the Zhang family when she was 10 years old. It has already been 5 years. Though Jiang Wenjie loves his daughter, the Zhang family disapproves her. She behaves arrogantly because of Jiang Wenjie's backing. Wen Xinya sighed. Indeed, those who are brought up in a sheltered environment behave differently. Wen Xinya then realized that she had said that Jiang Yuqian was from the Jiang family. It was embarrassing. Jiang Yuqian was rightfully from the Zhang family. Zhou Tianyu burst out laughing. That's right. Jiang Yuqian is a spoiled brat. She thinks that the entire world must listen to her. In fact, Jiang Yuqian and Xu.er had a relationship. Wen Xinya's eyes opened wide. She could not believe Xu.er had a relationship with her. Chapter 45. Xu.er, are you courting death? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 45. Xu.er, are you courting death? Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios' Zhou Tianyu was amused by Wen Xinya's reaction. When Jiang Yuqian was sent to the Zhang family, no one from the Zhang family liked her and those kids from the tenement who were about the same age as her despised her illegitimate identity and used to bully her. And Xu.er, as we all knew him for being reckless, stood up for her one day. He attacked Jiang Yuqian's bully until he couldn't get up from the ground. From then on, no one dared to bully her ever again. As for Jiang Yuqian, she always thought she was a princess. So she identified Xu.er as her prince sent from heaven to rescue her. She started being hostile to any girl who spoke with him after that, she explained. Is that why she was hostile towards me? Because she was jealous of me. Wen Xinya stammered. Zhou Tianyu felt Wen Xinya was a very interesting girl. She liked her. Yes, you can say so. Zhou Tianyu replied. She's only a young girl. Kids nowadays behave far more mature than their age. Wen Xinya sighed. She took a quick glance at Xu.er, who was happily drinking with his friends. He had his hair dyed black. Under the dim lights, she could almost see a halo glowing on top of his head. He had a pair of almond-shaped eyes that looked enchanting. His face was red from the effect of the alcohol and he appeared to be quite a youthful and attractive young man. No wonder he could easily attract admirations from young girls. Zhou Tianyu poked her waist jokingly, "Don't make it sound as if you are so old." Wen Xinya gave her a serious look and said, "My body is physically 15-year-old, but I have a 25-year-old soul." Of course, Zhou Tianyu did not believe what she said. She gave Wen Xinya a slight push. "Quit messing with me. You might want to say something more convincing than to kid me like that." Wen Xinya shook her head. Sigh. Life is all about loneliness. Nobody believes me even though I'm speaking the truth. Zhou Tianyu burst into laughter. Go away. Loneliness. How old are you to talk about loneliness? You are just kidding me, aren't you? Wen Xinya burst into laughter too. In her previous life, she used to react freely as she wished according to her emotions. Since her rebirth, she had returned with a deep hatred. She learned how to control and hide her true feelings. Zhou Tianyu had an easy-going character and Wen Xinya felt close to her as if they had known each other for a long time. Both of them chatted happily. It seemed like they were gossiping about the recent news in society. However, Wen Xinya could detect Zhou Tianyu's intention of giving her information on the wealthy families in the capital city, though she did it in a subtle way. Wen Xinya was truly grateful from the bottom of her heart. She did not have a chance to find out nor had anybody told her what she needed to know about these affluential families from the capital city. Though she had lived for 10 years in their midst in her previous life, she had no way of entering this circle. Zhou Tianyu glanced at the people around the room. She looked at the boys who were drinking happily and said, "Though these people may look arrogant at first, when you get to know them better you'll find that they're a loyal bunch and full of righteousness." Of course, Wen Xinya was aware of that. Han Mofeng was a good example of a loyal friend. And those who hung out with him would naturally be of such caliber as well. Zhou Tianyu continued, "Since XU.ER has formally introduced you to the group, you will also be part of the gang from now onwards. We would like you to join us for future events and celebrations. You have no reason to reject us." Wen Xinya was well aware of that. Joining this group meant a great deal to her in building her connections in society. Of course, she would not reject. "Yes, of course," she replied. "Oh yes, the second day of next month is my birthday. I'll be holding a mini-party. You must come." Wen Xinya was aware of Zhou Tianyu's effort to help her to get closer to this group of friends, hence inviting her to the mini-party. It was the first time Wen Xinya had ever received any formal invitation since her rebirth. "Yes, I will definitely be there." Everyone enjoyed themselves that night. They had great fun and everyone had their fill. When most of them started to get drunk, Wen Xinya requested a waiter to bring some hot tea. This would prevent them from getting a hangover the next day. As they left the place at around 11 o'clock, everyone exchanged contact numbers with Wen Xinya before leaving. It was also a form of acceptance for her joining their group. A waiter helped and guided the drunk Su Zhenyu out of the 9th heaven. When they reached the entrance of the club, Wen Xinya took over and held Su Zhenyu by his arm. He suddenly hugged Wen Xinya and put his head on her shoulder. "Wen Xinya, oh. My birthday. You have not yet wished me happy birthday. Wen Xinya tried to push him and helped him balance himself. However, Su Zhenyu was very drunk and could not balance himself. He fell right back into Wen Xinya's arms. "Quick. Wish me happy birthday. All right. I wish you a happy birthday. Will that do?" Wen Xinya said impatiently. She did not expect Su Zhenyu to take a step further. He bit on her shoulder lightly and said, "It's not enough to just wish me happy birthday. Not enough. I want a birthday present. When Shinya felt a pain on her shoulder, she slapped Su Genyu's face trying to make him sober. XU.ER, you must have been born in the year of dog. No. I wasn't born in the year of dog. I was born in the year of wolf. A crying wolf. And I am going to swallow you. Su Genyu suddenly opened his mouth wide and made a sound of wolf. Cry. Then he leaned against her. This time, close to her face. A drunken man reeking of alcohol leaning against her, it was when Shinya's natural reaction to slap his face and push him away. XU.ER, are you courting death? Su Genyu behaved like a little child, holding her close and whined. I'm not courting death. I want a birthday present. I want a present. When Shinya could not stand him throwing tantrums, she removed a piece of ear stud that she was wearing. It had small pieces of diamonds attached to its border and a pink pearl in the middle. She placed it into his hands, and said, will that do? Su Genyu watched her remove the ear stud from her ear. It reminded him of the scene at the airport where he did the same thing for her. His heart rate started to increase. He continued his tantrum. No way. You have to put it on for me. When Shinya noticed the remaining 6 ear studs on his left ear, there was a gap in the position where he used to wear the red diamond ear stud. She touched her left ear and felt the red diamond ear stud she was wearing now. She then helped him put on the ear stud with the pink pearl. Su Genyu could feel the warmth from her hands when she touched his ear. Her face was close to him and her warm breath landed on the back of his ear. He could smell the light fragrance from her body. His heart was pumping wildly and he almost could not breathe. Both his heart rate and temperature were rising uncontrollably. My ear stud is not as valuable as your red diamond ear stud. Hope you won't despise it. After putting it on, when Shinya took a step back and looked at him, the ear stud looked beautiful, but it made him look like a sissy. She could not help but burst into laughter. Su Genyu touched his ear and felt the ear stud she put on for him. His heart was still thumping fast. Right at this moment, a taxi came by and stopped in front of them. When Shinya helped Su Genyu to get into the taxi and sent him off after informing the driver his address. Chapter 46. I asked you to let go of me, did you hear me? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 46. I asked you to let go of me, did you hear me? Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. When she arrived back home, it was almost midnight. When Shinya reeked of alcohol and was feeling a little nauseous, she sat in the courtyard under the viburnum tree. She could smell the mild fragrance from the viburnum flowers and feel the breeze that blew onto her face. It made her relaxed and comfortable. Why did you come back so late? Asked a cold voice, sending chills down her spine. When Shinya looked up and squinted her eyes, she saw Yen standing in front of her. Under the dim moonlight, she could not make much of his expression clearly, and all she could see was a dark shadow covering his face. This gave her a mysterious feeling. You have been drinking, Yen added. When Shinya's eyes sparkled, she replied, today is second young master Su's birthday. We were celebrating for him, so we had a few drinks. I was able to hold my liquor and did not get drunk. XU.ER and a few other friends weren't as good. They got drunk and couldn't even balance themselves. There was some excitement in her voice. It was obvious that she had enjoyed herself at the party. Let me help you to your room. You shouldn't be out in the wind after drinking. You'll catch a cold. It was probably the effect from the alcohol, when Shinya was acting childishly than usual. She pouted and responded, no. I want to look at the stars and count every one of them. Who said there are too many stars in the sky? I want to count them all tonight. Yen laughed at her. She was obviously drunk and would not admit it. He had no choice but to try coaxing her again. Be good and obedient. It does not feel good to be sick. You have to stay in the hospital and you might have to get some injection if you're sick. Wen Xinya made a funny face. She tilted her head as if she was deep in thought. Then she shook her head and said, "No, I don't want that. I'm thirsty. I want water." Yen stroked her hair lovingly and said, "Okay, let me get you some water. I'll also make a glass of tomato juice for you to help disperse the alcohol in your body. Otherwise, you will get a hangover tomorrow." Okay. Wen Xinya nodded. Yen's voice sounded clear and crisp in her ear. She could also smell the mild fragrance of bamboo coming from him. Indeed, she had drunk a lot earlier. But she managed it well because of her past 10 years of drinking in her previous life. The alcohol she drank that night was nothing in her eyes. It was probably after staying outdoors in the cold wind that enhanced the effects of the alcohol. Wen Xinya looked up into the night sky. In the month of May, the sky always looked dark and vast without borders. The dim stars in the sky blinked a little without much brightness. It gave a sense of loneliness. This was the same feeling she felt with Yen. He was so close to her in proximity, and yet she felt so distant from him. She was always unable to guess what he was thinking, and he always seemed to be a mysterious character, just like the dark mysterious sky. There was always room for guessing and assumptions. After a while, Yen came walking towards her. His silhouette was barely visible under the dim light from the sky. The dark scenery behind him enhanced his aura and he became even more mysterious than ever. Under the same dim light, Wen Xinya's drunken eyes sparkled like the stars in the sky when she blinked. This pair of eyes revealed her youthfulness and a slight sense of childishness in her. He was extremely attracted by her cuteness. Wen Xinya received the cup of tomato juice he prepared for her. She brought it close to her nose and sniffed. The strong sour smell made her even more nauseous. She then started to vomit uncontrollably all over Yen, who was squatting beside her. Puke. Wen Xinya continuously vomited a few times, almost emptying everything in her stomach. She started feeling much better and less nauseous. "How are you feeling? Do you feel better after vomiting?" Yen patted and stroked her back, hoping to make her feel better. "I'm fine. I feel much better now." Wen Xinya finally recovered and caught up with her breath. The disgusting smell of puke lingered in the air, making her frown hard at the unbearable smell. She started noticing the mess on the floor that was caused by her puke. Then a pair of exquisite leather shoes appeared in her vision. She raised her head slowly and saw her puke all over Yen. There was some on his shirt and his black pants. "Your clothes." Wen Xinya looked at the mess she caused and felt apologetic towards him. "So sorry. I did not expect to puke all over you." She apologized. "No problem. I'll take a bath later and be fine after changing into a new set of clothes," replied Yen calmly. Wen Xinya was still feeling uneasy for what she had done. "Quick, return to your room and change now. You can leave me alone here. Let me help you return to your room first." Yen held her arm to help her stand up. Arg. After vomiting, Wen Xinya's legs were tired and she almost did not have the strength to stand up. She nearly lost balance and fell to the ground. Yen bent slightly and carried her body horizontally in his arms. "Ah!" Wen Xinya gasped in a shock. She reached out and held on to his shoulder. Her face started to blush and got warmer. "Yen, what are you doing? Let me go. I can walk on my own." Yen's eyes gleamed as he replied, "You're welcomed. It's my pleasure. I'm not appreciative of your gesture. I asked you to let go of me. Did you hear me?" Wen Xinya gave him a hard stare and pushed his chest trying to get away. Though he looked skinny, he was quite strong and had well-built chest muscles, and she could not seem to push him away. After some struggling along the way, they arrived at her room. While still carrying her in his arms, Yen walked straight towards the bathroom and put her down on the chair just outside the bathroom. "Okay, I'll put you down now," he said. Wen Xinya was furious. She kept angrily staring at him. Yen said with a smile, "Wait for a while. I'll prepare a hot bath for you. You were just exposed to some chilly wind. Take a hot bath now and you'll not catch a cold tomorrow." She was taken aback and had a weird feeling by his thoughtful gestures. Nothing she did seemed to be able to stop him from being caring and gentle towards her. Wen Xinya tried clearing her thoughts. "Thank you. Sorry to trouble you." Her words seemed to be signaling him to keep a distance. Yen ignored her and continued his way into the bathroom to prepare some hot water for her bath. She could hear the sound of water flowing from the tap coming from inside the bathroom. After a while, Yen walked out of the bathroom. "Your bath is ready. I've added a few drops of lavender essential oil into the water. It can help you relax and soothe your nerves. It also helps you get a good night's sleep," he said. "Oh. Okay." Hearing Yen's clear and crisp voice, Wen Xinya lost the presence of her mind. She did not even dare to look at him directly. After Yen's departure, Wen Xinya heaved a sigh of relief. It was a 60 square meters bathroom, yet she felt repressed being in the same room as Yen. She almost held her breath and could not breathe normally. She slowly walked into the bathroom, removed her clothes and lied into the bathtub. Her body was surrounded by the warm water and the temperature was just right for her. The fragrance from the lavender oil filled her nose. It was such a good feeling that she said to herself in a low voice, "Ah. It feels good." After soaking her body in the water for a while, Wen Xinya felt relaxed and soft. It reminded her of a phrase from the poem, The Song of Everlasting Regret. She, who was rewarded for a bath in the Huaqing pool on a cold spring day, cleansed her body in the hot spring water. A maid helped the relaxed and delicate body out of the pool and it was time for her to serve the emperor. Right at this moment, Wen Xinya suddenly shook her head hard to dispel her thoughts. Splat. 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 Serve the emperor. Don't forget you are now in your younger, underage body. Chapter 47. The Power of the Media. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 47. The Power of the Media. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. Good morning, Grampy, Uncle Zhang, Mother Jiang, Mother He. Wen Xinya greeted them as she walked into the living room. After doing some morning exercises, she freshened herself after taking a bath. Fortunately, with Yen's help last night she did not catch a cold though she was exposed to the chill wind of the night. The ambience in the living room was intense. Old Master Mo was holding the newspaper in his hands and he looked serious. "You mentioned you attended a birthday party last night. Was second young Master Su the birthday boy?" "That's right. Last night, XU.ER introduced me to his group of friends from society. Everyone had a great time," replied Wen Xinya. She had a weird feeling. Grampy had never probed about anything relating to her personal life. Why was he showing concern towards her friends this morning? Old Master Mo did not look happy. He handed the newspaper over to Wen Xinya and said, "Look at it yourself." Wen Xinya took over the newspaper and looked at it. The headline wrote, "Young Mrs. Wen's secret rendezvous with second young Master Su in the evening." There were 3 exclamation marks added to the end of the headline. This clearly indicated there was an affair going on between them. Following the headline was 4 photographs. The first one showed both of them walking out from the 9th Heaven Club. The second was a picture of Su Zhenyu hugging her. The third picture showed Wen Xinya putting on an ear stud for Su Zhenyu. It was a little blurry, plus some trick with the camera's angle. It appeared that Wen Xinya was kissing on his cheek. The last photograph showed Wen Xinya helping Su Zhenyu getting into the taxi. And there were 2 red circles to highlight each of their ears. Anyone who was close to Su Zhenyu would notice the difference in his ear studs. The written content was even more shocking. It revealed everything about Wen Xinya's past identity for the past 15 years. It also reported how Su Zhenyu was a spoiled brat and how this spoiled brat made use of his wealth to support Wen Xinya's bad behavior. Wen Xinya was described as an unrefined person with no virtues and a bad character. In fact, she has had numerous secret affairs with many different male counterparts. Wen Xinya took a deep breath and placed the newspaper on the table. "Grampy, there is nothing going on between me and Su Zhenyu. It wasn't anything like what the newspaper described. Su Zhenyu was dead drunk last night and I had to send him home by taxi. As for the ear stud, I was rushing and did not have time to buy a birthday present for him. Therefore I gave him my ear stud as a present. It doesn't mean anything special." Old Master Mo believed her. "The ear stud with a red diamond on your ear. Is it a gift from Su Zhenyu?" he asked. Wen Xinya unconsciously raised her hand to feel the ear stud and replied, "Yes, it is." Old Master Mo frowned. He said, "This ear stud is extremely valuable. You should have avoided accepting such an expensive gift." Though Grampy was a little unhappy, he was not really angry with her. Considering she was young and innocent, she could be inexperienced and did not handle such matters well, thus creating an opportunity for the media to come up with a story that was untrue. Little did he expect that after her rebirth, Wen Xinya and Su Zhenyu had developed their relationship into a deeper level. Wen Xinya frowned too. "I didn't expect things to turn out this way. Obviously, I was being monitored and someone was out to get me. I just returned to the Wen family and the people in the media industry have been watching me closely. They will make use of the slightest opportunity to blow up any news on me and create rumors. Whoever was out to get me, he just found a perfect timing." Both Wen Xinya and Su Zhenyu were underage. There was nothing wrong with them exchanging gifts or hanging out together as close friends. They could be flirting with each other, but it was acceptable. The newspaper article neglected the fact that both of them were underage and wrote about their relationship in a sleazy way. The person who was out to get Wen Xinya had wanted to destroy her reputation. Ning Shuqian was the only person she could think of that was capable of doing this. She was not sure if Xia Ruya was involved though. Old Master Mo gave her a cold stare. "You are indeed well aware of that." Within a few hours, this incident had become one of the latest hot news every newspaper and magazine was writing about. It was obvious that somebody was trying to manipulate and influence the media from behind the scenes. Wen Xinya rubbed her forehead and looked troubled, feeling brain-numb for a while. Then she said in a tone of regret, "It was all my fault. Since I moved over to Grampy's place, I have been focusing on learning every day and have almost forgotten about the potential threats. I wasn't careful enough and created an opportunity for those people to spread rumors about me. I'm to be blamed." Indeed, she was reliant on Grampy's protection all this while and had unknowingly lowered her guard against external threats. She had almost forgotten that Ning Shuqian and Xia Ruya were like 2 venomous snakes hiding in their snake holes. They were ready to strike and attack her any time she was caught off guard. This incident had taught Wen Xinya a lesson. She should have never lowered her guard against Ning Shuqian and Xia Ruya. "What are you going to do?" Old Master Mo looked at her. She seemed to have cleared her thoughts and had a plan in mind after doing some analysis of the matter. Wen Xinya replied with a serious look, "This matter could be tricky. You must be aware that the media acts as a double-edged sword. Anyone can easily use the media to bring someone into fame, but they can also use it to destroy somebody. If you think it will be difficult to handle, let Grampy settle it for you." He thought it would be a perfect opportunity for him to make an official announcement to establish his relationship with Xinya. Even if Shinya lacked the acknowledgement and support from the Wen family, she had the backing of her grandpa. By standing up for her, no one would ever dare to make use of the media to write negatively about his granddaughter again. Ednel.co When Shinya was well aware of Grampy's intention. She was touched and deeply appreciative of his good intentions. She looked at him and said in a firm tone, "Grampy, I need to be the one to resolve this matter." Shinya, it's not that Grampy doesn't trust you. But you have to know, the power and influence of the media are far beyond what one could ever imagine. If you cannot settle this matter fast, it will have an even bigger negative impact on you. Though Shinya could analyze it rationally, she was young and inexperienced. She might not yet be able to see things from multiple perspectives. When Shinya held Grampy's hand and looked at him in his eyes. "Grampy, I am well aware of the power of the media. And because of that, I have to stand up for myself. I've led a wandering life for the past 15 years. The Wen family did not make any official announcement to acknowledge me after my return. Moreover, I have an unglamorous past. I do not have a strong foothold in the Wen family as Mrs. Wen. This gave the media an excuse to put me in a negative light. I have to stand up for myself this time. It will be the first battle I fight with the identity of Mrs. Wen. After I've established myself as the real Mrs. Wen from the Wen family, I will not be bullied by anyone anymore." She was definitely aware of the power of the media. In her previous life, she was always put into the negative light by the media and that destroyed her life. In this lifetime, she had decided to confront the media and not back out. Old Master Mo appreciated her for being clear-minded. However, he was worried about her at the same time. "Shinya, no matter what happens, remember that Grampy will always be here for you. You do not have to face every challenge by yourself. You'll always have my support." There were tears in her eyes as when Shinya replied, "Yes, I know. No matter what happens, I'll always have Grampy watching my back." Old Master Mo smiled. "Grampy is happy to know that you agree." Old Master Mo continued, "Shinya, Grampy doesn't want to interfere in your choice of friends. However, you must think twice about the second young Master Su. His behavior seems to be ridiculous at times." When Shinya knew Grampy had good intentions for her, but she also remembered what Su Genyu had done for her in her previous life. She could not help but defend Su Genyu. "Grampy, Su Genyu might behave ridiculously at times and he is indeed a spoiled brat from a wealthy family. But he is just a rebellious teenager. He has a kind heart by nature." Seeing the seriousness in her expression, Old Master Mo knew when Shinya valued Su Genyu as a friend. He just gave her a final piece of advice. "Okay. I know you are a calm and intelligent person. I won't dwell on it further. Just remember that you have to always remain calm and handle matters in a tactful manner. Do not create opportunities for others to put you in a bad light again." She appreciated Grampy's respect for her. She replied softly, "Grampy, this incident was unexpected. Please be assured that I'll be more careful in the future." Grampy stroked her hair, feeling consoled. "Those who are out to harm you are waiting and will take every opportunity to attack you. You have to be alert and not let them catch you off guard." When Shinya nodded. Chapter 48. I want to totally ruin her reputation and let her suffer the greatest humiliation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 48. I want to totally ruin her reputation and let her suffer the greatest humiliation. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. The Floral Lingo Pavilion was a well-known beauty spa in the capital city. Their members were some of the wealthiest people in the city. Ning Shuqian and Wen Yuya were regulars of this spa. Ning Shuqian and Wen Yuya were in a VIP room within the spa. Fragrances from the essential oils filled the air. Ning Shuqian was enjoying a full body SPA treatment while Wen Yuya was enjoying a lavender oil massage. Both were very expensive SPA packages. The spa beautician who was serving her whispered into her ears, Madam Wan, we have just imported some new lavender essential oils from France. These oils will help your skin maintain its youthfulness and the fragrance could last as long as 1 week. Would you like to give it a try? Ning Shuqian, who was lying on the bed, said in a lazy tone, sure, let's give it a try. Certainly. I will carry out a lavender oil massage for you, said the beautician. She then got out of the room to make preparations. Ning Shuqian's cell phone rang. She took a look at her phone and smiled with satisfaction. Hello, Editor Yang. Wen Yuya, who was lying on the other side, opened her eyes and started listening carefully to the conversation. A middle-aged male voice came from the other end of the line. He said in a sharp and irritating voice, Madam Wen, have you seen the newspaper and magazines today? I have completed the tasks you requested. When are you going to pay me the rest of the promised money? Of course, Ning Shuqian had already seen the newspaper and magazines today. She was greatly satisfied with Editor Yang's efficiency. It was all thanks to Rhea for introducing Editor Yang to her. Not bad. But it's not enough. I will send you more information shortly. I want to totally ruin her reputation and let her suffer the greatest humiliation. Editor Yang was in shock. This wasn't what we had initially agreed on. Why are there sudden changes? He continued in a vicious tone, Madam Wen, please do not play tricks with me. If you make me mad, I will expose this incident. Ning Shuqian did not expect Editor Yang to be so influential in the media industry. He had managed to spread the news to every corner of the city within a short time frame. Please be assured, I will reward you handsomely for your efforts. I'll transfer to you the rest shortly. In addition, I'll give you another $500,000 after you've accomplished the required task. That's much better. After hearing his reply, Ning Shuqian was assured that he would be able to accomplish the given task. She said in a joyful tone, Editor Yang, a capable person will only be paid for solving someone else's problem. You should be well aware of how the game is played, am I right? Editor Yang reassured Ning Shuqian. Yes, I am aware. Madam Wen, please do not worry. My mouth is sealed. I will never give you away. Once I receive the money I'll go to somewhere far away and never appear before you ever again. Ning Shuqian was happy to hear that. Well, if that's the case, I'll wait patiently for you to bring me some good news. Ning Shuqian ended the call. Wen Yuya asked impatiently, Mother, what's the progress of the matter? Wen Yuya was reminded of what happened that day at the Zhou.Ram's shop. Wen Xinya was walking towards her, and the light from behind her lit up on Wen Xinya, putting her in the spotlight. Wen Yuya could only look up to Wen Xinya from where she was. She felt as if Wen Xinya had overpowered her world and she could only live in her shadow. Right at that moment, she suddenly realized Wen Xinya was her nemesis in this life. Ning Shuqian smiled with satisfaction and raised her brow. Don't worry, Editor Yang has got everything covered. Wen Yuya was happy to hear that. She said in a wicked tone, Mother, this time I'll let that bitch, Wen Xinya, have her reputation become totally ruined. Ning Shuqian replied with a smile, yes, let's do it right this time. Wen Yuya became hesitant. Mother, if we manage to ruin Wen Xinya's reputation, would Grandpa and Grandma really disown her? She is the only flesh and blood to the Wen family and Grandpa has always valued kinship. What if, she asked. Silly kid. It doesn't matter even if the Wen family values kinship. This doesn't change the fact that they will always prioritize the Wen family's reputation over everything else. Do you remember how we managed to drive her out of the family with minimal effort? That's because Grandpa also despised Wen Xinya for her unglamorous past. Your father has a strong sense of pride as well. If Wen Xinya is put in a bad light, that'll indirectly affect the Wen family as well. Your father will be the first to disown her, together with your grandma who will definitely take his side. I will also influence your father to let the board of directors and shareholders of the One Corporation persuade your grandpa. In this way, we'll have everything under our control. She had originally intended to slowly torture Mo Yunyao's daughter by leading her to a path of no return. She would allow Wen Xinya to fall into a bottomless dark hole and give up on herself. Anyone could walk over her and she would have a ruined reputation and lose all her dignity. However, little did she expect that little bitch Wen Xinya was far more difficult to deal with than she thought. She had no choice but to act fast. Mother, will the board of directors and shareholders interfere in the Wen family affairs? Wen Yuya opened her eyes wide in disbelief. The Wen family is the largest shareholder of the Wen Corporation. Your grandpa holds the position of chairman for the board of directors. Any negative news about Wen Xinya would impact the reputation of the Wen family directly. And this, in turn, will affect the Wen Corporation indirectly, causing its share price to drop. They are all interlinked. The board of directors will not turn a blind eye. Birds of the same feather flock together. Just like the Wen family, the board of directors too prioritized their interests over everything else. This made them easy targets for her manipulation. Wen Yuya felt assured. Mother, you are the smartest. You finally realized my strengths. Ning Shuqian replied with a sly look on her face. Wen Yuya laughed. Mother, you are the smartest mom on the planet. Wen Xinya thought she would be safe by hiding in her grandpa's place. Never belittle the one who is more experienced. Fortunately, we've listened to your advice and did not act recklessly. Now we've finally caught her off guard and found an opportunity to make good use of this incident against her. That's right. What good does it make to confront her with an argument? You do not get anything out of it. See who laughs the loudest in the end. You have to change your temper and start thinking rationally. Ning Shuqian advised with care. Wen Yuya replied elatedly, Mother, I understand. Now that Wen Xinya is being put in a bad light, you should be staying at home more to accompany Grandpa and Grandma. Ruya has returned to the Xia family, and while Wen Xinya is away, the two elders will be lonely. This is the best chance to build a good relationship with them. Wen Yuya's expression turned pale. She said, Mother, you know both Grandpa and Grandma have treated me coldly sometimes. I am. To achieve your goals, you have to be adaptable and be patient. If you can adapt to any situation, you would have already achieved half of the success. Wen Yuya nodded. I'll try. Ning Shuqian was a little worried. Xia Ruya had been visiting the Wen family's mansion frequently these few days. It was obvious that she wanted to get close to Grandpa and Grandma. While Wen Xinya's bad news was spreading, Xia Ruya's virtues would immediately be contrasted. The two elders would then naturally favor Xia Ruya, who had been living with them for the past 12 years. Chapter 49. Are you jealous? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 49. Are you jealous? Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. After breakfast, Wen Xinya called Qiu Yifan and got him to introduce a private investigator who had a close working relationship with Chaofan Lawyer Corporation. She wanted to monitor Ning Shuqian and Xia Ruya closely. It was common for attorneys to have a few private investigators in close working relationships. After she had hung up, Ouyang Feng, Zhou Tianyu, Grandpa Du and Du Ruo called to comfort her. Zhou Tianyu had offered to clarify matters on her behalf, but Wen Xinya rejected her offer. She wanted to deal with it herself. She had already returned to the Wen family for some time. It was time she stood up for herself to establish a name in society. When Wen Xinya finally got off the phone, she saw Cian standing under the viburnum tree. He was wearing a spotless white shirt, displaying his strong and sturdy physique. There was a strong mysterious aura around him. The bright sunlight shone on him, enhancing his simplicity and virtues. She was dumbfounded by this scene. Yen noticed her standing beside her bedroom window. He suddenly advanced towards the window. With a leap, he entered her room. It happened within seconds and caught Wen Xinya by surprise. What are you doing? Get out. Who gave you permission to enter my room? Aren't you aware that it's rude to enter a girl's room without permission? Yen smirked. Relax. It's not the first time I come into your room. If you do not remember, let me remind you about last night. Wen Xinya gritted her teeth furiously. The only thing he did was to help her into the room and prepared some hot water for her bath. But from the way he described, it sounded as if they were having an affair last night. Yen laughed. Why are you staring at me? I am concerned about you. Did you sleep well last night? Do you feel any discomfort this morning? Wen Xinya stared hard at him, flushed with anger. Thank you, I'm fine, she replied. Yen replied with a smile, that's good. I was worried you might catch a cold after exposing yourself to the cold wind last night. I'm good. Thank you for your concern, replied Wen Xinya coldly. Obviously, she was still upset that he barged into her room without a warning. Yen commented. You're such a heartless person. Someone puked all over me last night, and I was the one preparing a hot bath and tea for you. How can you turn your back against me now? His intimate response softened Wen Xinya, making her blush. I'm not a heartless person. Do not spout nonsense. Who gave you permission to enter my room last night? Yen suddenly raised his head and looked at her. Wen Xinya could not avoid in time and they made eye contact. There were passion and warmth in his eyes. She could feel his enthusiasm and was mesmerized by him. She had almost forgotten to breathe. Do you have anything for me? Wen Xinya turned her face away to break their eye contact. I've done some investigation and managed to find something interesting. Do you want to take a look? Yen's eyes suddenly caught the ear stud on her ear. He remembered it. She had started wearing it from that time she was at the airport to fetch old Mo and did not remove it since then. Wen Xinya was startled. Is it about today's news? Her scandal had just been reported and he was already able to carry out an investigation with some findings. His fast action made her feel uneasy. Only a man with a strong influence would be able to accomplish such a task at this speed. Yen handed over a large envelope to her. Wen Xinya took the envelope and started looking through the information on the documents inside. Very soon, the name of an organization caught her eye. Heaven Bright Press Media. Wen Xinya had already heard about Heaven Bright Press Media numerous times. In her previous life, Heaven Bright Press Media would be the first to report all the bad news that Wen Xinya was involved in. This press media was even sued by many well-known artistes in the city for the defamation they made in one of their headlines. That was why she had a deep impression of this press media. After some investigation, I found out that it was Heaven Bright Press Media who started it all. Within a short period of time, almost every press media in the city has received a similar envelope like this containing news about your scandal. I have also checked on this press media company. Yen observed Wen Xinya's reaction and she seemed to have heard about this company. He was surprised. This company was set up just a few days ago. How did she find out about it? These are very detailed information. Wen Xinya carefully looked through the information about Heaven Bright Press Media. Her attention was brought to the chief editor of the company, Yang Chongguang. There was detailed information about Yang Chongguang, including his hobbies and even the names of the women he had slept with. Yen replied softly, These are all that I've managed to get. I hope they are useful to you. In fact, he wished he could stand up for her. He did not want his beloved girl to be involved in a scandal with another man. However, she needed to be stronger. She did not need to hide behind the protection of a man. What she wanted was the power to control her own destiny. Wen Xinya had a plan. She kept the documents and thanked him. Thank you very much. I can make good use of this information. Before she got hold of these data, she did not have a clear direction. But after receiving these documents from Yen, she had a good plan of action. She knew this was a good opportunity for her to get back at Ning Shuqian. By doing you such a big favor, do you think you owe me an explanation for the relationship between you and Su Zhenyu? She was an intelligent girl. He only needed to do the right things at the right time and she would be able to handle any situation well. Yen watched Wen Xinya as she was deep in thought. She had Su Zhenyu's ear stud on her ear, and Su Zhenyu had hers on his ear as well. They seemed to have an intimate relationship where Yen had no way to interfere. Wen Xinya did not expect such a question from him. She unknowingly replied to him these words, Are you jealous? She nearly bit her tongue off when she realized she should not have spoken in this way, indicating there was indeed something going on between her and Yen. Yen walked towards her and wrapped his arms around her. He said in a deep tone of voice, Wen Xinya, you are an intelligent girl. Your eyes. He then raised his hands and stroked her eyelids gently. Can see through someone's soul, he continued. Therefore, she could see through him and knew what he was thinking. Right at this moment, Wen Xinya was flustered. She could feel the warmth from the touch on her eyelids. Her heart was racing. She tilted her head and moved away from his fingers. Unknowingly, she felt a sense of guilt and replied, There's nothing going on between Su Zhenyu and myself. She could not explain why she felt the need to answer to him. But indeed he had gone through an extra mile and did her a great favor. Maybe he did it so that he could confront her for an explanation on this matter. She realized she could not refuse or let him down. Yen's eyes glittered with passion like fireworks in the sky. He was able to provide certainty in times of vulnerability. I will believe anything you say. Chapter 50. I must teach these sons of bitches a lesson. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 50. I must teach these sons of bitches a lesson. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios' Su Zhenyu was dead drunk last night and fell into a deep sleep. In the morning, he was awakened by the loud ringing from his cell phone. He found it a nuisance and went back to sleep as soon as he turned it off. However, the other party did not give up. When he could not get through on Su Zhenyu's cell number, he called through the landline number in his room. Second young master Su had a bad headache. He removed the phone from the charging unit and there was finally peace in the house again. He thought he was finally able to catch some sleep before suddenly there was a loud knocking sound on his door. Knock, knock, knock. Second young master Su got furious and kicked his blanket aside. He walked to the door and opened it. Then he started shouting, Who is the one being so damn inconsiderate? Do you know the worst thing you can do is to disturb others from their sleep early in the morning? Han Mofeng pushed a stack of newspapers and magazines into his arms. Take a look at these. See if you can go back to sleep after reading them. Su Zhenyu still looked confused. He gave Han Mofeng a stare of suspicion and took a look at one of the magazines, The Notoriously Spoiled Brat from the Capital City versus the Misbehaved Daughter from a Wealthy Family Who Has Been Missing for 15 Years. Following were numerous photographs of him and Wen Xinya behaving intimately. Because of the camera's angle, it looked as if they were in an intimate relationship and were behaving inappropriately in public. The article further described what a spoiled brat he was and they even showed indecent photographs from his past. Birds of the same feather flock together. This magazine was obviously making use of his notorious image to ruin Wen Xinya's reputation. Su Zhenyu's face turned pale. He furiously flipped through one magazine after another, and then he continued to look at the newspapers for the same report. Almost all newspapers and magazines had similar content. They were all making use of his negative image to ruin Wen Xinya. What nonsense is this? This is ridiculous. Su Jinyu threw the stack of newspapers and magazines to the floor in anger. Then he behaved madly and torn it all into small pieces. These media reports are twisting the facts. They are all out to hurt Shinya. What has she done to offend them? How could they bombard Shinya with the use of such negative words? Han Mofeng tried to console him. Xu.er, calm down. You can't solve a problem by throwing a tantrum. How can I calm down? What wrong has Shinya done to deserve such bad treatments? I must teach these sons of bitches a lesson. Su Jinyu ran downstairs like a gust of wind. Han Mofeng chased after him and caught him by his arm. Xu.er, don't act recklessly. Why don't you give Shinya a call? Su Jinyu suddenly came to his senses. He grabbed the cell phone from Han Mofeng and started dialing. The line was engaged. He did not give up and kept trying. The commotion caused by Han Mofeng and Su Jinyu alarmed the Su family. Mother Su came over worriedly and asked, "What's wrong? Why are you throwing a tantrum early in the morning?" The Su family had seen the news this morning as well. However, they were not affected by it as it was common for Su Jinyu to appear notoriously in the news headlines. Though it seemed a little more serious than usual, they only felt that the media was making use of Su Jinyu to hurt Wen Shinya, thus they did not mind about it. Han Mofeng replied helplessly, "We held a mini-party at the 9th Heaven Club last night to celebrate Su's daughter's birthday. The young mistress from the Wen family who was lost for the past 15 years, Wen Shinya, was there too. Xu.er seemed to like her a lot. We were all drunk and Shinya helped Tianyu sent everyone back. Then she sent Xu.er home as they were the last to leave. Little did we expect." Han Mofeng's words left everyone in the Su family speechless. Su Jinyu was still calling Wen Shinya's cell number. Though the line was engaged, he kept trying. He paced up and down in the living room impatiently and pulled his hair furiously. After a long time, the call was finally connected to Wen Shinya's line. When he heard her voice, his throat was stuck and he could not speak. It was his negative image that gave the media a chance to attack Wen Shinya and thus impacted her reputation badly. He had never expected his past behaviors as a spoiled brat would cause harm to someone else. Furthermore, it was someone he cared about. Hearing Wen Shinya's voice from the phone, he had a strong sense of guilt. He could not bring himself to face her anymore and hung up after a deep sigh. Han Mofeng was concerned. "Did you manage to get through to her?" Su Jinyu was vexed and pulled his hair. "Yes, it got through." Han Mofeng asked curiously, "Why didn't you speak up? Is it that Shinya was angry with you? Did she scold you?" "Nope, she didn't. Instead, she turned over and comforted me. She assured me she would handle the matter herself and asked me not to worry. She also wanted me to stay at home to wait for her updates." Su Jinyu suddenly started screaming and stood up from the sofa. He then kicked and toppled the tea table in front of him. Old Master Su was angered by his actions and shouted, "Are you crazy? After experiencing this incident, you should be reflecting on your mistakes instead of throwing tantrums at home. Is that what you're only capable of? Look at her, even a 15-year-old young lady wants to stand up for herself. Look at the state you're in now." Su Jinyu stood motionlessly. He fell into a state of trance after being reprimanded. Old Master Su was concerned and worried for him. He continued, "Look at all the troubles you've caused in the past. That young lady was defamed by the media and got into this state all because of you. That's right. It was all because of him. It was him who behaved childishly and gave a chance for the reporters to capture them on camera, thus landing Shinya into this mess. He was the one who got Shinya's reputation damaged." Su Jinyu suddenly dashed out of the house. Han Mofeng knew that he was going to do something impulsive. He ran after Su Jinyu and tried to stop him. Xu.er, can you calm down please? I'm a good for nothing. I'm not capable enough. Now I've created this mess and have to hide behind a girl who is going to solve the problems caused by me. Even if I can't stand up for Shinya, at least I can do something for her by confronting these newspaper offices and media companies. Su Jinyu said angrily while pushing Han Mofeng's hand aside. Old Master Su was furious at his recklessness. Come back right now, you brainless idiot. Have you ever considered what further harm you might be causing to that young lady from the Wen family by your actions? Are you trying to push her towards the edge? Indeed, Old Master Su's words finally knocked some sense into Su Jinyu. He stopped advancing forward and then screamed like a trapped animal. That means there's nothing I can do. What exactly shall I do to help Shinya? Old Master Su sighed. You are not to be totally blamed. Someone was out to get Wen Shinya, and they were just making use of your notorious past to achieve their goals. Don't go anywhere and don't even think of meeting her. She is their only target, let's see how she'll handle the situation. Let me give a few of my newspaper editor friends a call and see if they can help to stop reporting about this incident. Su Jinyu was rash indeed. He did not consider properly what further impact he might cause. Fortunately, his grandpa managed to talk some sense into him. Thank you, Grandpa. Let me give Shinya a call to see what she plans to do and also ask her if there's anything I can do to help. Old Master Su nodded in satisfaction. Su Jinyu was finally starting to think rationally. He started to gain interest in the young mistress from the Wen family who had led a wandering life for 15 years. Han Mofeng was a sensible child. If Han Mofeng acknowledged Wen Shinya as a close friend, then she must be someone with a good character.